What if I told you that everything you believed about the new Ferrari SF26 is completely wrong, and that it was Lewis Hamilton who revealed it to the world? Are we facing an unstoppable Ferrari or just the mirage that only Hamilton knows how to control? All the media noise, pessimistic predictions, and covert mockery about the Ferrari SF26 disappeared with a single public appearance. And it was not by any Maranello manager, nor by internal technical leaks. It was Lewis Hamilton who took control of the narrative. He did it without the need to shout, without the need for embellishments or controversy. Only with data, track sensations, and a conviction that leaves no room for doubt. Pre-season testing at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya appeared to be another opportunity for teams to adjust parts, test setups, and simulate stints. But for Hamilton, it was something very different. After more than a decade wearing silver with Mercedes, the Briton got into the Ferrari SF26 for the first time in a competitive context. His verdict was immediate and direct. This is the biggest transformation I have experienced in my 19 years in Formula One. A statement like this is not born from emotion or a desire to impress. In the meticulously measured universe of Formula One, where each statement is evaluated in milliseconds and each driver measures his words as his lines, those words have weight. Hamilton wasn't just talking about the car, he was talking about a philosophical revolution. The SF26 is not simply an evolution of its predecessors. It is a complete cut with the previous stage. And he felt it from the first lap. During the more than 430 laps he completed with the SF26 in Barcelona, Hamilton noticed something that no simulation data could have predicted. The car not only responded, but grew with the push. Where other previous cars lost stability, this Ferrari gained poise. It was as if the more aggressive the driver was, the more cooperative the car became. That feeling, as intangible as it is powerful, is what has fueled the confidence of the seven-time world champion. And it's not that the car is perfect. He himself described it as nervous but controllable. A phrase that, for the uninitiated, may sound contradictory, but for a Formula One driver it contains an exceptional quality: margin for error. In the era of 2022 to 2025 ground effect cars, where the slightest failure in a corner could end in a spin or abandonment, this SF26 offered something that had been lost in the category: flexibility. Hamilton was able to make mistakes, correct, and keep pushing. That changes the entire dynamic of how a car is driven on the track. And it changes it especially for someone like him who has built his career on the edge. Surprised Ferrari engineers confirmed that they were not expecting that level of adaptability. They themselves admitted that they didn't know the car could behave like that until he got in. This testimony is not just a compliment. It is a technical validation that reconfigures what we knew about the SF26. It is the classic case in which the pilot sees beyond the wind tunnel and CFD models. This is not a Hamilton that comes to hang on to Ferrari's prestige. It's a Hamilton that's helping him rebuild. That he is willing to be a student again, to relearn how to brake, how to enter a curve, how to interact with a hybrid system that has not been designed to suit him. And that technical humility, combined with his experience, is exactly what gives him credibility when he says the SF26 has changed everything. That's why this block is not just an introduction to a car. It is an introduction to a new stage. That of a reborn Hamilton who has left behind the years of frustration at Mercedes and now leads a project in which he believes, not because he has been promised results, but because he has already felt in his hands that the potential is there. The real battle in Formula One rarely begins in the first race. It usually starts earlier, in silence, behind the scenes, in wind tunnels, in simulation laboratories, and on the production lines of millimeter design parts. Ferrari understood it. Therefore, while the eyes of the world were on the Barcelona tests, the Maranello team was working in the shadows on what would really make the difference: the Spec B upgrade package for the SF26. Unlike previous years, where Ferrari seemed to pursue solutions in the middle of the season after detecting failures in real time, in 2026 the approach has been radically different. This time, the evolution of the car is not reactive, but anticipated. The SF26 shown in Barcelona was just a working prototype, a reliable basis for collecting data and validating concepts. But what is coming to Bahrain is a different car in several key areas. And these are not simple adjustments, but structural transformations designed to unleash the true performance of the car. Let's start with the flat bottom, an area that defines the aerodynamic efficiency of the car in this new era without extreme ground effect. Ferrari has opted for a completely reformulated geometry. In Barcelona, the SF26 used a conservative design, inherited from early phases of conceptual development. But for Bahrain, we will see a more sophisticated work of engineering, with more aggressive channeling, micro-perforated details and strategic edges designed to direct the flow towards the rear diffuser with surgical precision. The elimination of the double strut that supported the floor, a piece that offered rigidity but also resistance, is not only aesthetic. It represents weight savings, an improvement in balance, and a direct gain in dynamic performance. That focus on lightness continues on another equally critical front: chassis weight. Although many teams consider it a recurring challenge in the preseason, Ferrari has addressed this problem with unprecedented aggressiveness. The SF26 that rolled in Barcelona was clearly above the regulatory minimum of 768 kilograms. A technical burden that limited both mass distribution and strategic flexibility with the tires. To correct this, engineers have redesigned the gearbox assembly, opting for lighter composite materials and a reconfiguration of the batteries, all with the aim of losing several kilograms without compromising reliability or structural rigidity. But what's most intriguing about this Spec B package is its adjustment in an area that may go unnoticed by many: active aerodynamics. In the post-DRS era, where the FIA has introduced a new aerodynamic management system for corner and straight modes, Ferrari has detected an optimization window that can change its destiny in qualifying and the race. The tests in Barcelona showed that the system worked correctly, but in a basic way. In Bahrain, we will see it refined, with a faster transition between modes, less turbulence on the straight, and, above all, cleaner management of the flow under the car. This is where the redesign of the front wing comes in. It's not just more stylish, it's smart. It is designed to channel air not only above, but below the front tires, one of the biggest generators of turbulence in any F1 car. This flow, once stabilized by the wakeboards or side deflectors, feeds the floor and allows the diffuser to work in a much more controlled environment. And all this has already been validated by the FIA, which guarantees that the parts will be available and approved from day one in Secure. But what Ferrari's master plan really reveals is not just in the components, but in its implementation strategy. The Spec B presented in Bahrain is not the final stage, but rather the intermediate step of a continuous evolution. The team has structured its development in 3 phases: Barcelona as validation, Bahrain as a quality leap, and Melbourne as consolidation. In Australia, the Spec B Plus will arrive, an iteration that incorporates everything learned in the desert, from the car's response to temperature changes to tire degradation in long runs. The most impressive thing about this new stage is not that Hamilton has arrived at Ferrari with high expectations. That was inevitable. What is truly revealing is how he has assumed the role of technical, tactical, and emotional leader of a project that needs more than speed to succeed. After years at Mercedes, where his relationship with the car became increasingly tense and limited, Hamilton has rediscovered in Ferrari something that seemed lost: the desire to build, to mold a car in his style from its foundations. And that commitment is not superficial. From the first kilometers in Barcelona, Hamilton immersed himself in an intensive work dynamic with the engineers, adjusting every parameter, exploring radical configurations, and, above all, adapting his riding to a machine that was not designed for him. The SF26 isn't a tailored suit, but it's making it into one. But where the result of this process was really seen was in Shanghai, during the first sprint weekend of the season. On a completely resurfaced track with unpredictable grip, aggressive temperatures, and minimal margins, Hamilton not only dominated the session, but conveyed a feeling of absolute control. Every curve was an extension of his instinct. Each late braking an act of total trust. When you blinked, he was already at the top of the timetable. What he made clear that day was that Hamilton no longer needs excuses or adaptation periods. In just 2 Grand Prix, he has recovered that version of him that seemed off since 2021. The lethal, clinical Hamilton who converts pressure into precision. His return in the shootout sprint was a warning not only for Red Bull and McLaren, but for his own team. Because now it is he who sets the course, who interprets the hidden language of the car, and who points out the path to follow. In the past, Ferrari presented improvements that did not work on the track. The expectations generated in the factory did not translate into results. Now, each update has a defined and validated purpose. From the Spec B in Bahrain to the long-awaited Spec B Plus that will arrive in Melbourne, everything responds to a progression plan designed not to win a race, but to compete for 24 weekends. Such consistency in development had not been seen at Ferrari since the era of Jean Todt and Ross Brawn, when the Scuderia dominated with military discipline. As for the car, the SF26 has surprised with its reliability and adaptability. More than 4,500 kilometers driven without technical failures during the Barcelona tests, consistent performance in different track conditions, and a base that responds well to both aggressive and softer driving styles. The car does not seek to be the fastest in all sectors, but rather the most balanced, the most predictable, the most adaptable over a long season, with circuits with radically different characteristics. However, the key is in the reaction. How the team takes these errors and transforms them into useful data. In how, far from justifying his failures, he faces them with self-criticism. That's new. Ferrari, historically proud and often impervious to internal criticism, is beginning to appear vulnerable in a positive way. Recognizing weaknesses is the first step toward sustained excellence. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.